So in this video I'm going to show you how to make a wireframe, and there are numerous applications you can use to do this. Some of you may know how to use Photoshop or Fireworks or even GIMP. You can do any image editing tools fine. In this video I'm going to show you how to use an app that you should be able to plug in from Chrome with your mcpsmd.net account. So if you open up a new tab and go to Apps over on the left hand side of the browser, upper extreme left hand side, you can go to Web Store and you're looking for Pixlr Editor, which should be near the top. We're looking for this icon said Pixlr Editor. And when you go ahead and add this to Chrome and add the application, it will add this button, which we're going to go immediately into that, and we're going to create a new image. Now what I'm going to do is, this is going to be a wireframe. I'm going to go ahead and put _1, and the dimensions don't really matter. I'm going to go ahead and set this to 1024x768 and use a transparent background, but it doesn't really matter. And what I'm trying to replicate is, I want a wireframe for my favorite college. Now I'm using gradation here, so I'm just going to go with the solid color blue in my wireframe. So replicate, this is my header, this is my nav, this is my content area, and this is my footer. But I do want to pull in these colors. Now typically a wireframe is used where you design the layout and the color scheming first. We're kind of doing this backwards in this case because we've already done that. So for your final project, the intention is you would do your wireframe first. And the idea is that when I click on this link, View Frame, it will take me to an image for my wireframe. So what I want to do is I want to use this Pixlr tool to create something that's close to that. So I'm going to open up over here on the side. Shrink this screen down here just 1 second, if I can do that. Hopefully it will let me do that. There we go. So I want to open up this rectangular shaped marquee tool, and I want to kind of just demonstrate that I'm going to make a box here at the top for the header. Now what I want to do is, I want the color of this to be close to this blue. So I've also opened up my CSS code, and I know that the color that I'm aiming for in my header is this color. So I'm going to go to my Pixlr tool, and I'm going to use the paint bucket, and I'm going to fill it in with whatever color selected here. I don't want black, I want that blue, and I'm going to fill it in with that blue. Now I also want a content box that's pretty much the same color. Now granted, I would have gradation here in the real thing, and I could represent that here, but I'm not really that concerned about that. I'm going to go ahead and fill in my content the same color, and I'm also going to do a footer that is pretty much the same color as well. And then I need one more box, which is for my navigation, and the color of that is my nav, which in this CSS, this is an older CSS, I called it secondary. Yours is probably called nav, and I'm going to fill in that red, and I'm going to fill it in with that color. So now this looks pretty close to the color scheming for that, as well as the layout. So the only thing else I'm going to do here is, I'm going to go ahead and use the text tool, which is somewhere in here, this letter A, the text tool, and I'm going to set my color to white or something close to that. I know that white is all S. And I'm basically going to make a box that just says this is my header. And what I can do if I want is, I could go ahead and add the basic CSS that I've got going here. Now this is not necessarily a requirement, but if you do this now, when you go to actually use and design your CSS, you already have this done. All you gotta do is pull it right out, and there it is. So that's my header color. Now luckily for me, that is the same color that I have for my content as well as my footer. So what I can do is add another text box, and this is content, and it's going to have the same CSS. Again, this is just color CSS. We can always have, you know, all kinds of styling that we've explored throughout this unit. And then just one more box down here for footer, which is going to be the same thing. Okay, and then the last one I need to do is my nav, which, I'll just kind of remove this guy around a little bit. So the last one I want to do is nav, which is going to go right here. And I don't really want that color. The background I want for nav, again I call it secondary, is this red. And got a little bit too happy with the clicking there. So that will establish my nav color. Now that box is running on a little bit, so probably what I would do is go back and see if I can edit that. And I could change the size of this if I wanted, make it a little bit smaller so it'll fit a little better. I could play with that, but that's good enough. That's fine. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this image now. I'm going to go to File, Save, and I'm going to call this wireframe because that's what it's going to function as. But where am I going to save this? I'm going to save this in my computer, and I'm going to save it in my web projects folder, and this is for Fave College. So this is my wireframe for Fave College, and this is a JPEG file. Again, usually the intention is you're doing a wireframe first before you start to do your CSS, because you could use a tool such as any of the ones that I've showed you. I'm going to go ahead and save this. Any ones that I've showed you here on TextRec, like for example this one is a great tool. You would pull out your color scheme first, and you could use the wireframe, you could use this Pixlr tool to set up your colors, see how they work. You have an image right here to see how it works. Now the only thing else I have to do is I need to make this link take me to that image. Well, I'm going to go back to my code. Here's my HTML, and right now that guy is linking to the wrong thing, but I called it wireframe, and it's not a PNG. Mine was a JPEG. I could have saved it as a PNG, and it's a JPEG. So now what's going to happen when I refresh this guy, now when I click here, it takes me to that wireframe. That's the image, because I saved it in my folder. I saved it in my Fave College folder. There's my wireframe JPEG.